Welcome to the NerdNest Podcast. I'm Sarah Montgomery, NerdNest social media manager. As usual, the links to all of our social media, our actual site, and our blog are in the description of this video, so please check that out. And this week on the podcast, my guests are, as usual...
Daniel. Josh.
You know them, you probably hate them, but whatever. This week, we're going to discuss Fant4stic.
Spoiler alert.
Alright, first, we saw this on Saturday, so I think it was the day it came out. Now we say spoilers, because we're going to talk about things that happen in the movie. Which is funny, because nothing happens in the movie.
That's what, yeah, it was... Again, I will maintain, though, the first bit was good.
It was...
And then they got the superpowers.
And
it was
you know
bad.
what I realized is that the first part was good because they were doing a lot of setup and a lot of build-up to nothing, though. So there was I see where this is going places, and then it didn't go anywhere at all. Nothing happened with a lot of, they left a lot of things and just there. It's just, it was, not, I think, worst movie of 2015, worst superhero movie, well, probably not worst superhero movie.
Ant-Man.
That doesn't mean it was better. That means people wanted to watch a train wreck.
Well, yeah, no, but the difference is...
People know the Fant4stic. They don't know Ant-Man.
Yeah, but Ant-Man directly ties into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And as many of you may or may not know, this movie, Fant4, like Amazing Spider-Man and I believe X-Men, was made by Fox instead of Marvel, specifically so that they could just keep their rights to the movies. Now with X-Men, First Class, and Days of Future Past, they kind of stumbled into good stories and they walked out of that not only unscathed, but actually redeeming the X-Men universe. Amazing Spider-Man...
After erasing everything that took place in
the
Wolverine
most of the movies.
And
Amazing Spider-Man did not
X-Men
do
Origins
so
Wolverine.
well, and then this one was just really, really bad. So it starts with a lot of... It's focused on Reed, and so we were looking at this up the other day after we watched the movie, and that it's based primarily on the Ultimate Universe, not the Marvel Universe.
Yes. And the difference being, instead of traveling to space, which what you have seen in the first Fant4, they teleport. They build a teleporting machine, which at first, I'll be honest, I didn't know much about the Ultimate Universe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about the Ultimate Universe in general, but I really don't know a lot about the Ultimate Universe with the Fant4. And when we looked it up, the characters themselves individually and their powers and the aspects about them, other than Johnny Storm being black, is very
consistent
it's
very
with the
similar.
comics.
Yeah. So in the comics, none of them actually undergo interdimensional travel. They're trying to get an apple to transport. I looked this up, and at the last minute, Victor Von Doom changes some calculations on the thing due to his thinking that he's better than Reed. The teleporter malfunctions and has a wider range than originally estimated, and Reed is just all stretched out and creepy looking, and Ben is covered in rocks way far away, and Sue is underground. She's been kidnapped by a man called the Mole Man, and Johnny has caught on fire. Well, he's on another part of the planet in a hospital.
Yeah, they basically all got teleported and had powers.
Yeah, that's essentially what happened.
And something that a lot of complaints about this movie, that the other one wasn't an issue, was that the age, they were a lot younger in this one, which is... Actually, it is true. It is true that in the Ultimate Universe they are younger, but it's just kind of one of the favorite things about the Fant4 is when they got their power, they didn't go through this immaturity stage of I like my powers, I want to fight for justice. They're already kind of old, matured, kind of had so they already kind of said, well, we have this. Let's take a step back. Let's think about it, and they kind of
because they're all very smart.
When they're younger, so one of the complaints is that people don't like they're younger, which is agreeable, but that was them just following what the comic books did.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. The Fant4 movie that just came out was not bad because the Human Torch was black or because the Human Torch was black and his
or
sister Sue
because
wasn't,
it wasn't
or because
related to the comic book,
or because they were
in X
young.
way, or they were
Right.
it didn't match with this or whatever.
It wasn't bad because the characters were young and it was a different origin story.
It was bad because it's like
was
these
a
characters
bad movie.
didn't feel like they meshed.
There was no chemistry.
This is
between
supposed to be
characters.
the Fantastic Four is supposed to be a family.
Right.
They're supposed to. When Stan Lee wrote them, they were supposed to be based off of a family. It's like two brothers with Ben and Reed, and a brother and a sister with Johnny and Sue. And when Sue and Reed get married, they're like one
mom
big
and dad
family.
figure.
Right.
And
there was
none of that.
I always
Like-
liked it because it was just Reed and Sue are kind of the parent figures.
Mhm.
One's the mom, one's the dad, and the Thing is often looked at as like the uncle.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of the messed up one,
Yeah.
which he has a right to be,
Kind of
considering
rough around the edges.
he's the only one that
Rough
is a
like-
giant rock all the time.
Giant rock monster.
completely disformed.
So I mean, so they all have their roles to play, and Johnny's kind of the reckless.
Younger brother.
Yeah.
The reckless, crazy uncle. So you've got the like gruff, rough and tumble uncle, and Ben, and then you've got the crazy, fun-loving.
Yeah,
He'll
so
take you out drinking when you're 17, uncle.
that's what the Fantastic Four is,
Yeah.
and why people love them. In this movie, that wasn't the case.
There
at
were
all.
no character, like the best character relationship
Hell, you
that
didn't
they
even
had.
find out if you went in not knowing anything about the Fantastic Four, you wouldn't even found out that Johnny and Sue were brother and sister until like halfway through the movie.
They just really casually
And-
mention adoption. It's just like, okay. I
Which
guess
was
now we know.
weird because when I find out that they cast Kate Mara as Invisible Woman, and that they cast Michael Bell as, I'm probably messing up the actor's name, but when they cast the Human Torch as black and Sue Storm as white, I was like, I wonder how they're going to explain their sibling relationship. Do they have a biracial parents, and
Which could
that's
have
how they
worked.
explain it,
That
which
makes sense.
totally could have worked. I mean, that's not completely
it's not
unheard of.
The most
That's not the
impossible.
most realistic, but it's also, at least they have that same sibling connection. Whereas in this one, we don't know what happened to Johnny's mother. She's not mentioned. There's no really depth of her existing, of her death, or of anything happening.
all.
She's just not mentioned, even like passing by. There's no mention of Sue Storm's parents, like her original parents, or how she met Franklin and how and why he adopted her. It's just they didn't explain it at all, which I found very
And then on
unsatisfying.
top of that, I mean, I can understand you leave hints. It wasn't even that. It was like there was a minor hint that she might be from another country,
Yeah, and it was
and that was kind of like super
Like she
glossed
grew up
over.
in one place, and then she
Yeah.
just went to America for some reason.
But again,
and
they
their parent
didn't do
disappeared
anything with
somehow.
that.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything with it. They just said it, and they were like,
The
Yeah.
only
I mean-
good relationship was between Ben and Reed,
that one was
and then it
very
got
well
solid
developed.
relationship.
that, and then the way it changed throughout because Reed, when they got their powers, Reed left.
Mhm.
He went away to find out how to try to cure them or try to stop basically his friends being used as weapons by
Right.
the government. And the other three members thought that Reed abandoned them basically.
Which ironically made Ben decide to be a weapon.
So, yeah.
Kind of back.
I mean-
But anyways, like the thing about it is when Reed came back, Ben wasn't like, "You my bro, let's be bros." He was like kind of salty about it still, which anyone would
Yeah.
be. But at the same time, you could tell that he still cared about Reed,
Yeah.
and he.
But it's that care. It's that the reason he was upset was because he cares about Reed. Like he felt so betrayed, and to have that betrayal of that level, you have to truly care about that other person. So the Ben and Reed relationship was really good. You saw a lot of like from their very beginning, building up and continuing. But the Sue Storm Johnny Storm relationship was practically non-existent. They only had a couple scenes together, and they were at best about like, you should listen to Dad. I don't want to listen to Dad.
Good seeing you though. Good seeing you too.
I know it's
That's
like
it, yeah.
it made it feel like they might have been like close at one point,
And
but
they're,
they're
like,
not
distant.
at all now.
Which
I
is
mean,
not
it
their
also
usual
showed
thing.
hints of obviously Reed liking Sue, which is like cool. That has to happen. That's a pinnacle part
Well,
of them.
it showed.
But it just never happens.
It
in the whole
showed.
movie.
Well, one. I think it showed, like Reed liking Sue. Because he tried to kind of maybe
Flirt
in
with
his
her a
awkward
little bit.
Reed way flirt with her in the library.
I think he did a good job of awkward though.
Yeah, he did a
Yeah.
good job of awkward, but there was really no sense that Sue was actually wanting to reciprocate that or had any
There was a
interest in it.
little bit when she
But-
was walking away. She kind of gave that look down.
Yeah, but that was in the very beginning of the movie.
That was a
Where's,
little
like,
charming.
But not
There's
really.
no end.
You have Victor introduced into the story, who, as you may know, also has like a thing for Sue. That's not his motivation for being a villain, though. And I don't know why the main 2 times we've seen him portrayed as a villain, that's his like main thing. He's like, I hate Reed because he tried to steal Sue, and I'm gonna be a villain because
Well, I
of
mean, that's
Sue.
why. That's a fair reason to hate Reed,
But it's not a reason to destroy the world.
he didn't want to destroy the world because of Sue. He wanted to destroy the world because the government was running everything conspiracy
Look,
theory.
that was okay. So they had one throwaway line in that really bothered me, where he was like, they were all having a conversation, and Franklin was giving this speech about how we need to work together and better the world with science, and everything will be great if we just do our part for the world. And he has this douchey throwaway line. Victor, he goes, well, what if the world isn't worth saving? It's like, you sound like some douchey, uppity college kid who
No.
just finished reading Catcher in the Rye.
I was thinking
That's not a
like
profound
middle
statement.
schooler who scrolls down Instagram a little too much.
And they found like some exactly, it doesn't sound like oh, this is his reason for becoming a villain. Like, he even has like they get drunk together. They're like, hey, you guys want to go out drinking? And they seem like friends. The only interaction we see between Reed and Victor that is even slightly negative is when
very
Victor
initial.
says, like, is the very initial one where Victor's like, I'm smart, you
You're not
think
as
you think
smart.
too highly of yourself. And when he says, you need to stop flirting with Sue in the workplace, that's unprofessional. To which Reed responds, okay, I'm gonna go take a nap. And he leaves.
And then he just
To take
sees
a
like,
nap.
oh, it's done.
And it was like, that was not
Yeah.
a lot of conflict there.
One of the things about the Human Torch is that a lot of people complained that it was going to be played by a black person, which is, in my eyes, it's understandable that people are upset about that, because if you're a fan of comic books, the person you always see on the book, you literally just want to see him come to life.
Mhm.
And Human Torch isn't black, just in any of the popular comics. So, you want to see that person that you see in the comics come to life, and you seeing him look nothing like how you think he looks, sound nothing like he sounds,
Personally,
can kind of
Also,
set
on
you
top
off
of
at
that,
first, which
I
is
think
a
it's
bad
kind of
start.
bad just to go, hey, we want diversity. Let's just make this random guy. Let's just change
Right.
this for the sake of.
It was-
sake of
I mean-
things.
but changing one of the siblings,
Oh no! I
That-
would
that's-
have been much more
Yeah,
down
sure,
if they
but-
changed both.
and that's what I think the main thing that people are focusing on is like.
Then they would have had a
don't-
whole lot less to try to explain in this
Because
movie.
you can't actually look at the casting of this movie and walk away from it saying, no, they genuinely cast those actors
Yeah,
in the right
that's the
roles
thing.
because they were great actors. Like
The
they
people's
just,
defense on that is, they picked the best actor, and it just happened to be a black person. Watching that movie, he was not that connected to a Human Torch persona.
okay, one,
He just didn't seem
none
like
of
he
those
was
actors.
that very involved in the role. That's true.
None of those actors. I've seen them in other things before, and I've liked all of them before. This role, like, I think it was
But
partly
I
the
feel
dialogue
like
and the direction. They just didn't show
Partially,
up.
that was because the director did tweet out that he basically had nothing to do with this,
Yeah,
and it was
there
not the movie he wanted.
Keep in mind, there were also reports that the director showed up to set drunk repeatedly.
Well, if
hungover.
you were basically gonna
Just like get your movie
well,
taken.
no, if you basically start a movie and you're like, say you're excited to film this movie, I'm excited to film the Fantastic Four. It's like the last guy did a kind of job with it. I wanna stamp it. I wanna make like the Iron Man of the Fantastic Four series, the one that everyone's going to love.
Mm-hmm.
And then a group comes
executives.
along and says, we know you're trying to do this, but we really want you to incorporate this into it, and we really want you to do that. And then they just push harder and harder and harder until
it's not
he literally can't say no because they basically provide him with the
Yeah.
funds to make this movie. So all he really has to do is just be there and say, action, cut, alright, I'll see y'all tomorrow, I guess.
But even structurally, that movie had a lot of issues. Like,
Yeah,
one of the main things that I noticed that really bothered me was, so Franklin Storm must have been
By the way, coolest voice in the world.
he absolutely awesome voice. He must have had some like all-seeing knowledge that these people would become the Fantastic Four, because there was literally no reason for them to be working together. Ben, first of all, he sees Reed at the science fair he sees Reed and Ben at the science fair project. Only gives Reed scholarship. Now maybe that was after a conversation that Ben didn't, and Reed said that Ben actually didn't contribute, and that's why Ben didn't get there. Regardless, Ben's excluded, Reed's come along. So Reed's introduction makes sense. Sue is also a scientist. That makes sense. Johnny, we need you on this because you're unwilling to do it and an engineer. Are you saying you don't have actual like engineers working on this that are willing and have been working on this project? There's no reason for Johnny to be there other than that he's a part of the Fantastic Four.
Or other than the fact that it's like, he's my son, I want him to succeed in life, so here's this great job opportunity.
It's like that came out of nowhere. And then you have...
Yeah, he felt once he was there, it was like obvious that he was supposed to be like a natural gifted guy that works with like mechanics.
And just works well with the team, which is clear to see, but I mean, there was just so much pushed in, like you couldn't have thought of a better way to implement him in. There was just so many, and the worst part about it in my eyes is the origin was very, very close to what it was in the comics, which is
surprising.
Which is impressive, and it's okay to go away from it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have their own rights; they can make their own universe, but as long as they don't completely destroy the character,
like they did with Deadpool.
But they're fixing that.
What they did with Dr. Doom, like he just got completely, like all the other characters were pretty, except for they didn't go to another dimension, they just kind of got messed up from a malfunction.
But if they didn't do that, it would
just
be way too sciencey.
What happened to him? They just decided to go a completely different direction from the comics with Dr. Doom.
And even
for some reason,
even within the canon of the movie, it didn't make any sense why he became a villain. Like so you have this government agent that's like essentially forcing the Fantastic Four to be weapons, and he's like weaponizing them and kind of pressuring them into doing work for the government, which makes him seem like kind of a bad guy. And then Dr. Doom shows up, and he kills this guy, and I'm like, is he the good guy? Like, he just freed the Fantastic Four. He's standing up to an oppressive government. Okay, and then he just walks down the aisle psychically for some reason, just killing him. Bloodily and just violently killing a bunch of soldiers or paramilitary.
It was actually a fairly cool scene, as out of context and out of the fact that he looked kind of weird.
I just don't understand.
Yeah, no.
Because Dr. Doom's whole thing was, I just don't understand why because they're so loyal to all the other guys, but for some reason Dr. Doom, they just took in a completely different direction.
It's like they wanted to up the scale. It's like, it's the first movie, let's start destroying the world.
But that's the weird thing.
It blows my mind that they did that.
He wanted to rule.
Right, but which makes sense. Except for like a few villains.
He was a power hungry. It's like, he basically said, I kind of want to rule Earth. Like that Dr. Doom's trope.
He's this huge, I'm supremacy, I'm better than anyone else.
I'm better than anyone, I can rule them, I can show them the light, not humans are such a mess already.
And we looked this up in the Ultimate Universe. In the Ultimate Universe, it was different because he didn't actually end up ruling. He ended up just kind of ruling his own country and kind of playing down low. He turned the scale all the way up to 11.
I don't even
just,
know.
And
I'm going to destroy the Earth because reasons.
They didn't destroy Earth, directly. So you didn't get the emotional impact of seeing civilians' lives endangered and an entire city being floored.
There's one scene, but it was barely.
Most of the fighting takes place on a desert island.
That's all CGI, with bad CGI.
And can we just talk about how the movie has zero middle? They have this giant origin story for them, getting their powers, building the equipment. And then instead of them fighting Dr. Doom, getting beaten, and then retreating and realizing that we have to work together and then overcoming that defeat, like what happens in most narrative plots.
That was kind of the part where Reed ran away, though.
I just don't understand. The fighting itself lasted maybe 10 minutes. Dr. Doom in combat was non-existent.
Yeah, the finale.
It ended so fast, and especially because it was so predictable. Because I think it was Johnny or the Thing or someone ran up and was like, he's too strong, he's stronger than all of us, and then Reed says, I know. And
this is where
I watched this during the trailer with a friend of ours, and I was just like, but he's not stronger than all of us together. And then he says that, and I'm like, didn't see
It's
that.
like
the
this
worst
movie is a
line in the movie
giant-
by far, though,
It's just
was
what?
the very
Dude.
last line of
Ugh.
the movie when they're talking about
They just made it
their
so
team,
cheesy.
and it's like, and Ben or the Thing is just like they're like trying out all these names, and they're all like shooting him down, and then the Thing casually says the word
Like, man,
fantastic.
And he goes,
say that
"What'd you
again.
say?"
He says, say
And
that
it was-
again.
And there's
It
zero
ends
passion in
it
his face.
on the worst possible note.
Yeah,
Like,
and they
the movie started off okay. It kind of went up, and you're like, "This has potential."
Right.
I'm actually.
They've already talked about there being a
It-
sequel to this
it
movie.
builds your
It
hopes
makes sense
up.
for me to just be, the beginning of the second movie is them beating some random villain. Who cares? And it's just the Fantastic Four saves the day again. Like, okay, they have their name established. Cool.
Yeah, they didn't even need
But
to
they
try
made
to like.
this. We need a name. Huh? Yeah. Well, it is pretty crazy. This whole journey's been fantastic. Say that again. Fantastic. Oh my god. Dude.
Also, the
So
thing-
cheesy.
What is this writing?
So cheesy.
It was just.
that wasn't writing. That was a producer saying we need to kind of shoehorn.
How will they know though?
Shoehorn in that.
You know how
the
their
Fantastic Four.
title on the movie cards is Fant4stic. So a lot of the people that are trashing the movie is like, look, I hated the Fantastic Four, but Fant4stic was just terrible. It was an awful movie. All right, final thoughts. Worst thing you thought about the movie, and would you recommend it to someone?
I would not recommend it to someone.
I wouldn't either.
Worst thing is the character interaction with each other. That being said, I do hope that the producers learn their lesson and they make a Fantastic Four 2 and they do it right.
Maybe. I'm not gonna
Because you can do it right. I feel like you
my
can.
worst. What I think is the worst is the ending is just how they destroyed Doctor Doom, and the fighting lasted 2 seconds, and it's just they go from being so unorganized to being a team in 2 seconds,
Yeah.
and they contributed to actually beating Doctor Doom once. Like, Thing does this, Human Torch does this, Invisible Woman does this, Reed does this, it ends.
A little
Yeah.
more internal conflict.
Oh.
Yeah, I would have said I would have liked some of the issues they had to have actually, like some of the setups to actually have gone somewhere. Like they had internal team conflict with Reed leaving and Johnny wanting to fight but Sue not wanting to fight. And
They
then
needed it to carry more weight.
But nothing happens with
Yeah,
that.
it's
Like it
just-
doesn't actually go anywhere.
That's why I'm
It just
hoping
kinda
that they take
ends.
this second movie and do something with it.
Well, we can only hope. Anyways, before we end this, I have one last announcement, is that starting next week, so next Thursday, which is going to be the 20th of August, this month is August, Rain, our lovely, wonderful, amazing founder, has started her own podcast, so you will see the premiere episode of that next week, so look forward to that, and I hope you welcome her warm. It is her channel, after all, everything is hers, it's all NerdNest, so just look forward to that for next week. And don't see Fantastic Four, please,
I
for
mean,
your own,
just
or wait till
if
it
you're
comes
a
out
huge
for
if
everybody.
you
fan.
really need to not
Miss
watch
out.
a movie, this one is probably the one you can.
You can skip this. Go
I mean,
see Ant-Man
it's not
instead.
it's not contributing to any universe, so it's just kind of you can just
Yeah.
whatever.
Or go see a third party movie.
Well, alright,
Alright.
bye guys. See you
Alright.
next, or we won't see you next week, but we'll see you the week
2
after
weeks
next.
maybe.
Bye.
Bye.
Anyways.